Louisiana's finest. I say, who that? R.I.P. Tom Benson. Shout out to the whole Who That Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Oh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. I got that fever, my people. See, we not equal, my people. I'm like that dog saint underneath the steeple, my people. Got Drew Brees, he the feature, and our defense the sequel. The D-line and linebackers, man, they coming to reach ya. Make enemies some believers, cause we overachievers. DBs see 50-50 balls and we call them keepers. Y'all can follow this leader, cause Sean Payton will teach ya.
Saints Talk listeners, what's up? We back. It's another week of Saints Talk. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Washington. I'm here with Nick Underhill. Got that fever for the flavor for the funk. You know what? It's 2022. You really can't say you got fever right now. That's a bad look. So,
well, if you got the fever for the flavor, but then you got the flavor for the funk, it kind of cancels out. So
all
you're
right,
good.
All right.
Yeah.
I was a little worried about the fever though. You can't just have the fever.
Nah, but he's got the flavor for the fever.
Oh, there we
So
go.
you're good.
Right.
So you're good. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So he's good. He's good.
Because if he's
immunized against the fever through the flavor. Yeah.
All right. He's good then, because that was gonna be a crazy medical bill, and he would have had to holler at somebody about trying to save some money. And I think we got this guy.
Yeah. So if he was a business owner or just an individual, which he is, he could have called Daniel Sant CPA. Are you a business owner or a person needing some guidance with your daily accounting? Daniel Sant CPA can help get your finances in order. They provide relevant accounting information, detailed analysis, and clear communication in a timely manner. Call them today, 318-321-2765, or visit santcpa.com. Number, link, all that in the show notes. And also hit up our guys at Firehouse Subs. They're the truth. Food's good, help the community, all that stuff. So next time you're up on Veterans Boulevard, won't be too much holiday traffic up there right now. So you can go there, get your sub, get out, and get on with your day.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Shout out to our sponsors, Firehouse Subs, out over there on Veterans, and Daniel Sant. So we appreciate you guys supporting us. Shout out to Chad to see you guys in there. Bob, as always, loyal day one. Paul is always here. Dimitri, Henry, Michael, see you guys here. So thanks, Chad, as always, for joining us. And it's a big week for the Saints. It just feels like a good pod day. Some days you feel like, sometimes you don't have the energy. I'll be real with you. Sometimes you be like, all right, I got to get it when the pod start. I got to hit a fever for the flavor, and that gets me going. Today, ready for the pod. The energy's here. I'm just happy, man. I'm happy to be in front of you guys. I'm happy to be talking a little Saints football. So let me get that out. But I like what I do, and so we're gonna talk about this Saints.
Can you hear
Falcons.
Shrine?
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you hear Shrine barking?
Oh, that's
yeah.
beautiful.
Sorry, man. Amazon's got their people out here delivering packages at 8:00 at night. Like, let these people go home, man. That's outrageous.
Listen, that's music to my ears, though. Let her do her thing. Like,
nah,
I'd rather hear her bark than you talk.
Oh, come on, man. There's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, I can't believe they got people out here at 8:00 delivering packages.
I will say this before you go. I will say this. One thing I've learned with COVID, and I was talking to my manager today at whatever company I work at, and we were just having, we was talking, and his daughter just ran behind the screen, and it's become so normal for people to be on these video conferencing things and just background stuff to be happening. Before it was taboo, oh my gosh, your kid is in the meeting and it's looked down upon. Now it's it's cool, man. So Shireen, get your takes off, man. She got an opinion about this game too. Let her have it.
Yeah, I think she's probably cheering for something other than the people. But,
I bet.
Yeah, she just plus that time. Yeah, yeah. So what are we talking about here?
Oh yeah, let's talk. Well, we're gonna do the 2021 top 5 hip hop albums, or is that the other pod? My bad. I'm a little mixed. Oh, it's the other pod. Okay, we're gonna talk about the Saints. We're going to go a little bit into this victory that they just had against the Carolina Panthers. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the Falcons game also. So if you guys are looking, right, for the best Saints content, NewOrleans.Football, right? There you go. 20% off a subscription right now. Use the code DEFENSE, active right now. Sign up right now during the show. We'll give you a shout out. Articles on the site right now. There's this defensive lineman for the Saints. He's number 94. Probably got a Hall of Fame resume on a lot of levels. Been playing his tail off lately. Had a recent resurgence. Someone wrote about that. His name is not Kevin, and he's recording this pod. Go read it. Scout's Take is on the website right now. Go check that out. Also, the post game article is up, and the post game preview, the review part of the game is up right now. So if you want to go back and listen to that information, all of it is still relevant. So just sign up. It's a lot of content there waiting for you. That's all I got, man. That's all I got. Nick, let's get into this a little bit about this last game. What's going on with Cam Jordan? High level. Don't get the article away. The article is there. Just tease it a little bit. Like, what are those like cheap sacks? Or is he earning them? What's going on with it?
No, I think he's playing. He's playing really, really well right now. And we were saying that kind of earlier in the season. I'm not like tooting our horn or anything here, but I am tooting our horn a little, I guess.
Yeah. Get your take off.
But we did talk a lot early in the season about how the reactions were overblown. He was getting a lot of pressure. He was around the quarterback. He just kind of wasn't finishing plays, and he's getting those better looks now. And some of the stuff they've done over this last 3-game stretch, some of the blitzes that he's getting sacks on, they've ran them multiple times, and just having guys that can execute that and get you off a double team, get Cam singled up. All that stuff matters. But look, he's beaten the people he's up against every which way: speed, power, hand combat, whatever technique,
effort,
whatever,
all of it, right?
Yeah, all of it. He's winning every which way. None of it's cheap. I mean, he's doing a really good job. He looks like he's always looked, and it's kind of crazy right now. 2 sacks would be a top 3 season his career. 1 more sack, I think it would tie for third, maybe. So he's in a very good place right now. I think he's silenced a lot of that criticism. If you need the numbers to feel good about what you're seeing, he's giving you that. Yeah. So the stats are there, the film's there. I don't think there's a whole lot to question right now. He looks really good. I think that he's maybe put himself in a place where you aren't worried about him so much going forward. You'd like to maybe not see it also kind of clustered, but the reason for it being so clustered, I think, is pretty clear. It's just a lot of guys were injured, suspended, not there. He was out there kind of playing with, second tier players, backups, rotational guys. And it's tough to live like that when you're the only person for anybody to worry about. And, I think you're kind of seeing some good things now. And I think he's going to continue to be a productive player for this team, not just this season, not just into the playoffs if they make it, but I think next year too. I think you can look at him and kind of count on him. And he's shown you that, that thing you need is still there.
Yeah. That's exactly my take also. And, and I think he's not moving any different than he did earlier this year, right? I mean, he's not faster. He didn't learn any new techniques. It's just, sacks sometimes they're circumstantial, right? And sometimes the things that you're doing, they're working and sometimes they're not, right? And sometimes you're seeing 3 or 4 blockers and sometimes you're not, right? And I think, you said it well, where it's just like, he's got some help on the line and he's just, things are working out for him, and so I think it's not a coincidence. This, the game where he had 4 sacks, Onyemata probably had his best game back potentially since he's been back in the lineup. I mean, he was really good this past Sunday. They played on Sunday, and Davenport, he had a relatively decent game, a good game, not a bad game. He wasn't as good as maybe the previous 2, but I saw a couple of plays where if he would have got if the guy didn't hold him, I think he would have had a couple of sacks, right? And so it just goes to show that it takes a lot of things around a player for these things to come together, right? You see a guy getting a bunch of sacks, and a lot of times it's not just him, beating up on the guy, playing offensive line. It has to do with the scheme, how many blockers he's seeing, is he getting one-on-ones, is he winning those matches when he gets those one-on-ones, and so it's a lot of things that go into it, and so it's good to see him because just transition into just the defense as a whole. man, like this group is good, right? I think this is a good group, and they didn't really play a great offense the last 2 weeks, but they played one the week before, and I think we kind of know exactly what this defense is, and so they're gonna have to carry the team, right? And I think it's starting with that up front, and it seems like the defensive line is playing this best ball at the right time of the year because they're gonna need them in this game Sunday, and if they make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, but look what they're doing against these teams is that's what you want to see. You want to see them kind of suffocate a little bit, and it's not like they've been at full strength either. The last 2 weeks, they've been
Yeah, that's fair.
down several guys. 2 weeks ago, they were down all their linebackers and still held their own. This week, basically, they were out of free safeties. You got JT Gray back there, Jeff Heath. So they were out of free safeties after, by halftime of the game. And the
TJ
degree of
got hurt,
difficulty
yeah.
was there, and they still played really, really well. So they're just kind of like really in a great place right now. I feel like the defense is peaking exactly when it
Yeah,
should be.
yeah.
But that's the team right now. You know what I mean? It's the defense. Everything is on them. Basically, can they just suffocate the opponent and give the offense just enough room to score a couple points? It's not like
Yeah,
20 points would feel like a luxury right now, I think, for this defense,
man.
the way
Yeah,
the offense is playing, because and I think if you get there, they can beat anybody. I can count on this defense to give you a fighting chance, I think, if
yeah.
if the offense gives them 20 points of breathing room.
And
And
I think if they
that
gave
should
him
be
20 points, like, if they gave him 20 points early, it would be totally different too, right? Because
oh, yeah.
this last game, they had 18 or whatever, but it was a struggle bus, right? If they can just get the defense some wiggle room earlier in the game, I think we'll even see those guys probably be able to play, step their play up a little bit.
Yeah, like, let's say 23. I think 23, if you give them 23, like, in any game right now, I feel like
Win.
you could win
That's
that
2
game.
games worth of points. What you saying, bro?
I mean, honestly, though, I mean, I really believe that. I think that's
Yeah,
kinda where they're at right now. I think that they should beat Atlanta. I think that the Rams should beat San Francisco. So, the way this sets up, I think everything kinda sets up for them as best as it can. If you're going into week 18 needing a team to lose,
yeah,
that's a game that I think that you're okay with. Like, that if you had to
yeah,
pick one, going against the Rams is just about as good as it gets, short
yeah.
of a team playing Green Bay. But the Rams are even in a position where they have something to play for. So I think it sets up as well as it possibly can. Their safety tested positive for COVID.
Oh,
It
okay.
might be, yeah, Ward. So it might be early enough in the week
Oh,
that
Jimmy
he's
Ward from the 49ers. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So he might be back by Sunday, but I mean that would be something that would be helpful for this team if he didn't play in that game. So I feel like the circumstances are setting up pretty good for him. A lot has to go right. Their
yeah.
offense still has to score points. Playing Atlanta is always tough. I mean, that's a tough game at any time. I feel like even if one of these teams was just complete trash, like the
Oh,
game
and
would be
16.
competitive. The
Yeah, I
game
know,
would
right?
still be competitive because they just know each other so well. And I think
Yeah,
Atlanta, man, if they could ruin this team season, they would love that. So I think you're going to get their absolute best shot in this game, even though their season's kind of, I mean, not even it's expired, it's done, they're
done.
eliminated.
It's a
But
wrap.
they're going to come out playing for something. So it's going to be a tough game. Saints are going to have to play better than they did last time. Defense is going to have to be better than it was last time. But I think things are set up pretty well for them going into this game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. When you look offensively, right? Like one of their corners, Fabian Monroe, is looking like he probably won't be able to play. And we'll see how this thing's turned. I'm not calling anything out, right? But that, so they may be short a corner. And so you got a defense with no pass rush, right? I think they're like the bottom of the league in sacks or close to it by a long margin. And so, you feel like your offensive line is not in a good position right now, but you rather be going against a defensive line that's that's with their guys are not in a good position. So that bodes well for, your one of your main weaknesses is a weakness of the team that you're playing, right? So that somewhat bodes well for them offensively. They're missing a corner. Again, you don't have the necessarily best weapons in the NFL, understatement there, but it just feels like this is a game where you should be able to, you should be able to win a little, you should be able to take advantage of some areas that they lack defensively too, if you can maybe scheme some stuff up and, the other side of the ball, I mean, their offense has not been good, neither their offensive line. Again, this will be their third week going against, not the best offensive lineman. They went against Tampa Bay. They have, one of the best in the league. So this is a game that they should win. And I think that, I feel like they'll come out ready to play, and we'll see, kind of how that manifests itself during the game. So this past game offensively, I know it seems like they made some adjustments in the second half. Did you see anything different than they were doing? Were they just executing better? And, what did you see from the quarterback this past game also?
He is what he is, man. He is what he is. I think going into the offseason, regardless of how the season turns out, I think quarterback's in need. I see a lot of conversation about the record and if he does this, should he get? Look, I think you see what he
Doesn't
is,
matter.
and
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
they're winning. Yeah, and I think he's doing his job. I think he's executing what he needs to do. He's not making mistakes, and really that's kind of what you need from
He's
the
not turning the
quarterback.
ball over is how I would probably say it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's not turning
Yeah,
the ball
okay.
over. Yeah, when I say not making mistakes, I mean not turning the ball over.
I just wanted to clear. I
He
didn't want nobody to
he
misquote you
he
because
he got he got a gift on one of those last week. He put the ball in the guy's hands and he didn't catch it.
he didn't
But I
want
mean, I think he is, is a guy coming in as a backup. I think he does a good job. I think that he doesn't turn the ball over. He's not fumbling this year. He's not
that's a
throwing a
big
lot of
deal.
interceptions. He's not giving up possessions, and he is in some cases, I guess, by not advancing and getting first downs. But the offensive line's so decimated. There's no wide receivers. In a structure with all that stuff that a little bit better, I think he'd be a good
He
backup.
looked better. He looked
Yeah, he
better.
would look better, and
Yeah.
he would be better at his job, and I think that he would succeed a little more than he has. I don't think the offense will be as stagnant. I can't put everything on him. I mean, I think it's unfair people that put everything on him because the circumstances are really, really bad right now. But at the same time, I don't see someone that's locking down a starting job going in the next season. I just don't
Yeah.
see it. I think that you would need they have to go out. They got to look at their options. I don't think you should settle. If
Yeah.
for some reason you get forced into a situation where he's your starting quarterback, you're seeing you can win games. And look, you put a better structure on them.
Bad.
Okay. But I don't think that's the outcome that you look to be in, immediately going into the season. So, but otherwise, I think he's doing okay. It's impossible it's impossible to succeed in this situation. The offense isn't good. My standard for him right now is just like don't turn the ball over,
Don't
and
turn the
he's
ball
not,
over.
and that's it. Literally, that's the only thing I'm looking from him or any quarterback right now is like go into the game, don't turn the ball over. You saw the difference between Ian Book and Taysom Hill.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's illustrative at least.
It
People that
gets
want to
worse.
act like people want to act like it's bottom of the barrel. It's far from bottom of the
It
barrel.
gets
I mean,
worse.
yeah, it gets worse.
I mean, listen, I thought it was lower than what it was until I saw low. Like, you think it's hot outside until you go to where it's hot, and you were like, oh, okay, it's like a little lukewarm here.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you can put yourself in his shoes for a second, like just think about how uncomfortable it's got to be for him when he looks, his first read isn't there, and you know who's on the offensive line, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, I got to go through my reads. It's got to be a terrifying feeling. You got to have no confidence
Yeah.
whatsoever. Once you start to get to like guy 3, you're probably like peeking around, eyes are going, like seeing where the pass rush is coming from. I don't think it's a very easy situation for anybody right now. And you're going, your first read isn't there. Oh man, Callaway's not open. Now who am I throwing the ball to? Oh my
Or
God, who's
Alvin check
blocking?
down.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean it's got to be a terrifying feeling. And then you get the ball out and like can this guy catch? Is he gonna be where he's supposed to be? It's a very tough situation. So I'm not asking for much from the quarterback. It's just
Yeah.
don't cost the team the game. And so far he hasn't. So credit to him.
Yeah. First down. I mean, first read, second read, check down, run. That's got to be the progression on every single play. And if you get that much time, you're lucky, right? With the group of guys that you're marching out on the field.
If they're
So,
blocking well enough to give you a chance to even get out of the pocket and run.
yeah, that's another good point. That's because teams are playing contain on them too, so that just adds another level of complexity to the situation. So, yeah, I've always said that I kind of have to evaluate him and Jameis when he was healthy. It's with a grain of salt on some levels. I think there is an evaluation to be had, but look at Tom Brady, and I'm not comparing these guys to Brady, right? I'm just using an example. Look at his production and his performance his last year in New England versus his first year in Tampa, right? Tom Brady's arm was the same. He didn't get a stronger arm. He didn't become more accurate. He didn't become a smarter quarterback. He had better players around him. Right now, the Pats did have a pretty decent O-line. But Brady's one of those guys that upgrade the O-line, and the O-line in Tampa started looking better in Tampa when Brady got there, obviously. And you give him just, the weapons. Antonio Brown, when he was on the team last year, Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronkowski. I mean, goodness, Fournette, all these guys with the defense. So, yeah, if you do tend to look better as a quarterback with talent around you, I think that's probably, a fair assumption under any circumstance. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I do think, whatever you get out of him past not turning the ball over is kind of considered, it's like it's lanyap in some ways, right? You just kind of take that. So yeah. So what do the Saints need to get into the playoffs?
Well, the people listening need to use the code that we brought back just for the podcast listeners. Use the code DEFENSE. Any plan, 20% off. That's a monthly plan, annual, any of the elite plans, 20% off if you hit it up. If you're on a monthly plan and you go to the subscribe page, you can upgrade to a yearly, get 20% off the upgrade price. So make sure you go and do that. Link is in the show notes. So just go down there, click it, take you right there, and you can handle that. So if you aren't signed up, do it. All the people asking about ramp check updates in the chat, there's one in the Wednesday article from last week. So sign up for the site. That information's there. Hate to do it to you, but that's how we make our living. So what do the Saints need to do? That was the question.
How do they get in the playoffs?
How do they get in the playoffs? They got to win the game. They got to make sure Atlanta doesn't score points. I mean, really, that's the formula every game this year. And
score more points than the other team.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that's kind of been like the frustrating nature of the season. Like as an observer, is that like it's just kind of not changing, not evolving. Same thing every week. Can they find a way to win? But I mean, really, that's it. And there's not like a high level analysis with this team anymore. We know what they are. It's not going to get better. Offense can get a little bit healthier and get marginally better, but it's not ever going to be a situation where you're looking at a game and saying, okay, the Saints can win this one by outgunning their opponent. No, like they just have to protect the ball, play good defense, be outstanding on special teams.
I think outgunning your opponent will help them win, because first thing I thought about was special teams. It's like,
yeah,
that's kind of one of the things where they, like Deontay this week. And I heard Coach Payton mention it in one of his interviews, and I'm glad he did, because I was thinking of the same thing. Like in the second half, when it felt like they were controlling field position, even though they wasn't necessarily scoring the ball, they kind of kept Carolina, backed up with Deontay fielding some of those punts. So those are tough punts to field, because if he doesn't get those punts, that ball bounces, 15, 25, 30 yards, and now the field position gets flipped. So I do feel like that is a part of this pass game that, a lot of people haven't spoken about. I mean, you and I have spoken about it, but I do think it's an area where they have to continue to be good, because that is kind of how they can counterbalance not being good offensively, is just by getting the ball in better field position.
Yeah, and Gillikin's been just unbeliable too.
Oh,
I mean, just the whole season.
Yeah,
and
shout out to the kicker too. He was making them kicks.
Look, it's man. It's unfortunate they didn't go with Maher, just like coming straight out after Lutz got injured. I know, they went through like the carousel, the other kickers, and potentially if they had just went back to him right away,
they'd have been in better position.
Yeah, maybe they would have won one of those games or something. And I say that saying he missed an extra point, but I mean overall he's been much better than Rojas and some of the other people that have been around here. So yeah, look, I mean. Everything on special teams has been really good. JT Gray should be an all-pro. Like,
oh man,
he's an amazing gunner. He does a great job. Gillikin is, I'm not scouting every punter in the league, but he's as good as anybody in the league. Just all those balls inside the 20, does a great job.
He's really good at that, man. That guy, like he's been one of the really important parts of this team. If you play football like the Saints play, like you gotta have a good punter, and you gotta be able to get.
He replaced the legend, and no one's
missing.
No disrespect to the legend. No one's talking about the legend though, and he's coming back this week. And look, I think Morstead's he's doing well. He just won the Player of the Month award, I believe. Like he's showing that like okay, he did get healthy, and he's
Yeah.
back at that level. But look, I mean, they went with
You
a
got to
younger
be a
guy.
really people got to love you if you go to Atlanta and you still loved as a Saint. Like, you got to be
Yeah.
like that's like a different type of love right there. Because Lance went there and he was like, "No, I'm gonna retire."
Yeah, I think people being mad at Morstead though are goofy. Like, I think that's a goofy thing
I
to do.
I
I think
haven't
it's a
seen
goofy
anyone
thing to
mad at
say.
him. Actually, people are mad at
Nah,
him.
people are. Oh yeah, people are mad at him,
Oh,
and
man,
I think that's a ridiculous. Like, the man got fired from his job. He got replaced by a
feed his
younger,
family.
cheaper guy.
Yeah,
Saints made the right decision for the long-term
exactly.
outlook of their franchise.
Yeah,
Morstead went out. He took a job. He got fired from that job as a temporary replacement in New York. Takes a job with Atlanta. It's not like he sought out like Atlanta. Even if he had sought out Atlanta, fine, whatever. He got fired. It's his prerogative. But he took the very last possible job he could have got late in the season.
yeah,
Circumstances set up so that he had an opportunity. If things hadn't happened in Atlanta, he wouldn't have had that opportunity. So, like, literally, he took the only option he had to continue his career. And if you're mad at somebody for that, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, look,
It's not like he ripped off a Saints jersey and he's like, "I'm going to Atlanta." It was kind of like, "Do you want to
it
keep
wasn't
playing football or not?" And this is the only way
right.
you can do it.
Yeah, it wasn't like he had it wasn't like a high school recruit choosing his college where he had the Saints jersey
Yeah.
right here and the
Toss the hat
Falcons
back in the
jersey over. He
crowd.
threw the Saints jersey over there and put on the Falcon jersey. I mean, come on, like so. I mean, look, man, I don't blame him. I've not seen anyone mad. I don't know if they are. I don't know. I mean, that's a little weird, but yeah, just back to the point. Him playing. I mean, the special teams group. Just playing as well as they has, fielding those punts. You know, being a good gunner, like JT Gray, just downing the ball inside the 10, inside the 20, etc., repeatedly. It just kind of allows you to lean on the best part of your team. And Coach Payton said that, hey, we are an 8-win team because of defense, right? In large part, but he should have just said because. You didn't even have to say in large part, right? I mean, we kind of know exactly what the deal is. So yeah, that's going to be important going forward. And I think. And listen, I mean, if they make the playoffs, I think, we'll get into more of these conversations. But I think, to get one of those games, you're going to have Deontay break one or something because, those games just become harder to win because there's just seems like there's more scheming. You're playing against higher quality teams, et cetera. So, a question for you, and this is just whatever. If you are the Saints and you had to pick between Dallas, Tampa, the Rams, and Green Bay, which one of those teams do you think that they have a higher probability of beating in the playoffs if they have to face one?
Dallas, Tampa, Green Bay, what was
And
the
the
other one?
Rams.
God,
I mean, Tampa sounds like obvious, right? Because they beat them twice.
I don't want to say Tampa, but
Don't say Tampa. Just if it's.
I don't want to say Tampa, but Tampa.
All right, if it's not Tampa, then who? Give me your number two.
I mean, just because they beat them twice, like they play them really well. So
yeah, that's
and that's not like a knock on Tampa. It's just a very specific thing. I think Tampa might win the Super Bowl. Like I don't know. Like
not without Godwin. I don't think they can win it without Godwin
or Brown. Yeah, I mean they might be too banged up, but I mean
AB, bro. Can we just like? No, we don't need to. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think Green Bay is probably the best one out of all of them, far and away.
Quarterback too good.
I don't know, man. Like honestly,
Dallas
feels like Gallup.
Tampa. Dallas just lost Gallup. Well, okay, other than Tampa though, right? If I think Tampa is probably. I do too. Especially with Godwin gone and AB out of there. I mean, you just let Sean lock up. What's the big Mike Evans, and you just bracket Gronk and rush the hell out of Brady, right? I don't think it's rocket science. But if you had to pick a second team, Dallas or the Rams, which one would be a tougher matchup? Or which one would you prefer? Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Probably Dallas. I think Dallas is probably. I don't like LA because just. I mean, look, on the very first basic level, Aaron Donald versus that interior offensive line.
Ruiz.
I mean, yeah,
I don't want to say
that's
it.
tough. That's a tough matchup. Like, just
I think they would
abuse.
They would abuse Stafford. I think though.
The weird thing is that like they've always done a good job. Like someone's gonna find a game like where it's not true, but like I feel like they've always done a good job against Aaron Donald. Like mostly, they've done a good job
Except for
against
that
him. They've
Zach.
had a good
Oh
plan.
no, I'm thinking.
But I just
of
don't know if they have the people to do it right now. I just don't know if they got the personnel to actually execute a plan against him. I just don't know if it's there.
You got to double
And I don't
him
know if they
every
got the
block.
quarterback either. You know, the quarterback's a big part of protecting himself, and I don't know if they have the quarterback to handle that either.
Yeah. I mean, Dallas lost. They just lost Michael Gallup, right? So now, but Blake Jarwin is back. So I'm just thinking, okay, like how does that work? You know, I think CD Deuce versus Lamb in the slot. I don't love that matchup. Even though CD's been playing he's been playing well as of late, but I just don't love that matchup of him against Lamb in the slot. And then, Marshawn against Cooper, I like that matchup. And, then I look at Dallas O-line and I say, okay, well, that's a line that you could potentially get, but that's not that's a little bit of a tougher one. Then I look at the Rams and I say, man, Cooper Kupp, like, like Marshawn really got to come with it because that dude is tough, man. And then Beckham, I almost would rather see Marshawn on Beckham, and then you kind of figure out how to bracket Kupp and just don't let him beat you. So I don't know. It's interesting. I was just thinking about it.
The Cowboys felt like a winnable game though this year too. I mean, it did. It didn't feel like.
Yeah. They played them really well. Saints played really well defensively against that team. That is a good point.
I mean, I don't know.
I just don't want to see Aaron Donald against Cesar Ruiz.
That's the one matchup that I see where it's just kind of like, man, what do they do? But look, I think anybody in the playoffs is going to be tough for them because if they got to score points, I think it's just going to be hard for them to score points on anybody. So
yeah, it would be so crazy if they played Tampa in the playoffs and beat them a third time.
6-0.
Bruh, that would be crazy. Bro, that would be my Super Bowl. Like, bro, we won. What the hats? Let's throw a party, bro. Let's have a little march down canal or something. Whatever we need to do, man.
Even if they go in and they get beat in the first game, I just don't understand how anyone at this point could think it's a better outcome not to make it at all. Like I think it's an unbelievable season, honestly, that they're even alive at this point in the year to have a chance to go in. Like you really look at everything they've been through. I mean, Ida, the 2 COVID games.
People forgot about the hurricane. That's like last year. That feels like decades ago at this point.
All the injuries. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then, the other thing I don't get either, and I'm not caping for Sean Payton here, but like everyone that says he's not doing a good job coaching and what's he calling? We talked about this a little bit on the post game. Honestly, like I want to ask everybody who says that, like, what would you do? What would you do? Yeah. They don't have an answer for it. They don't have an actual answer for that question. Why are they doing outside zone? Like, because outside zone has your blocking inefficiencies. Nobody has an answer for that question. They just think like, oh, this didn't work, so you should have did this or this. Well, no, that's not how it works. Like either it's a good decision or it's a bad decision, independent of the execution, because the execution at this point is nearly impossible on every play because they're so diminished. So you just have to try to do things, hope it works, stick to your plan, and hope that you have moments of execution enough so that you win. But they should pass more and they shouldn't run. Well, why? Like, explain to me why. How does that help? Okay, are they going to blitz more? Is that going to protect your offensive line? People don't have actual. It's just they're saying that to me. I think the man is the fact that he has this team through all this stuff in a position to make the playoffs. Crazy, I don't understand how you can criticize anybody on that coaching staff right now. Like honestly, I'm not taking up for them. It's just insane. Like look at what they've done and where they're at, and they're alive right now, and they've started. I don't even know. It was 57 guys.
57 is probably more now, right? Yeah. Jeff Heath.
They've started 4 quarterbacks this season, and they have a chance to make the playoffs. Come on, man! Like you're gonna sit here and say like they aren't well coached. I think they're incredibly coached.
Yeah, I do too. And obviously, I'm not saying this to you, just people in general, but like if when offensive coaches, right, and you don't have to take my word for this, you just go listen to an offensive coach. And just the most interesting interviews are the ones during the offseason. Offseason is the most interesting time in the NFL, even though it may not be the most entertaining because teams can't lie to you, right? They tell you how they feel about their team when they get into free agency, and they tell you how they feel about their team in the draft, right? But the other thing about it is coaches, they have these offseason interviews that you can catch sometimes and listen to every coach talk about any coach interview you ever hear in the offseason. Just listen to it if you want to learn football because they're not being asked about specific games. It's more philosophical stuff, right? And so when you listen to a coach talk about drawing up a play, the first thing they talk about is protection, right? It doesn't matter if it's a run play or a pass play. Every play starts with protection, right? Because if you don't have that, then the play's over. It don't matter how good it don't matter if you're doing a 3-level stretch, if you're doing a flood concept, all that stuff, it matters not, because if you can't protect the quarterback, it doesn't matter. If you can't block in the run game, then it doesn't matter. So the foundation of play calling for the Saints is extremely flawed. It's the worst position on their team, worse than their skill position players. And that's saying a lot, right? So the fact that the foundation of play calling is broken with their offensive line, because there were no good players on the field on the offensive line this past week, right? The fact that that's your starting point for your offense, I mean, that's why you're seeing, them have the worst offensive year that Sean Payton has ever had since he's come here in 2006, simply because you can't, I tweeted it, you can't make gumbo with salt, pepper, and water. It's impossible, right? You can try all you want to. It won't happen.
Man, literally, when they came out in 11 personnel last week, they had 3 intended starters: Marquez Callaway, Cesar Ruiz, and Alvin Kamara. And people are complaining about the execution of, why isn't he calling this? Why isn't he calling? Because you can't.
Yeah.
Because you can't. It doesn't matter what he calls. You can't. And then you get people like, oh, well, those are excuses. They should cover it up. With what? Like, literally with what? Like, you can't go get a new roster on January, whatever, 2nd. That's what it was on Sunday, right? I believe. I don't know the dates. It's all the same. It was the month of January.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy criticism. And it's just people talking, though, really. Like, they don't really have like substance behind their criticism. It's just, this isn't working, so the coach is bad. And it's just like, well, it's not working because it can't work.
Yeah, like he forgot how to run. He forgot how to coach offense this year. That's what happened.
Their power running plays aren't working. Well, yeah.
Because you got no power.
Power running plays aren't working because you don't have any power blockers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Someone was talking to me in my DMs, actually, and they were asking me, like, why don't Sean Payton, like, why is the run game isn't working? Like, what's going on with, his play calling? I'm like, well, look, the way this game, Sean Payton, like, people just isolate play calling, right? They just say, okay, this play isn't working, this play isn't working, this play isn't working. And what I told, the person that DM'd me, I was like, look at how the game is going. Okay, look at how the game is going. The defense is not going. They're not going to give up anything else. I think at a certain point, we knew Sam Darnold was done. Right, that little pitch and catch stuff he did his first couple of series, they figured that out. They got it up out of there. Right. So this as a coach, because the coaches are watching the game too. Right. They got this guy's number, and so all you need to do is not mess up. Don't turn the ball over. Keep playing field position, and eventually the pendulum is going to swing your way. And that's exactly what happened, right? You just play it conservative because your defense is keeping you in the game. And Sean Payton said it on WWL in an interview with Mike Hoss and Bobby Aber, I think this past Monday. He was like, listen, if you're playing good defense, you're going to be in games, right? It's that simple. And so it's not just, okay, let me call this aggressive play. Like, no, like, let me call the play for this particular game in this particular situation, right? Because they're coaching to win. They're not coaching to score X amount of points or, do this or that, right? And so, I don't know, man.
Yeah, trust me. Like, I hate the conversations that we've had the whole season about this team, honestly. Like, because it's just every week it's just like, well, nothing really matters on offense. There's really, you can criticize it, but it's not meaningful criticism at this point, because the point of a criticism is like to point out like something that can change, and it doesn't feel like anything can change. And I'm as frustrated with anyone about how we've, is someone that built a business around analyzing football games, having games where you're just like, well, look, man, none of this matters. Like, that's not productive for anything we do. It doesn't make for the most interesting podcast, but like, that's just real. And it's
facts.
Yeah. There's nothing to pick apart at this point, because like a game where there's 4 backup offensive linemen, like, what are we talking about?
And their starter is like
What are we going to do? We're going to point out that everything's bad? Yeah, obviously everything's bad. We don't need to tell you how it's bad because it's just bad and it doesn't matter because they can't fix it because the players aren't good enough. Like that's just where it's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, in perspective, everything they've been through, and at some point, like I need to just put together like a timeline of like all the bad things that happened this year.
Oh man, dude,
because it's crazy. I mean, it's just one thing after another. The defensive tackle was suspended to start the season. The cornerback beat a suspension. The Deontay Harris suspended.
I mean, it's just got suspended.
It's just on and on it goes, man. It's just crazy everything that they've managed to overcome and still be standing. It's truly remarkable that the team didn't come apart because they should have quit. I mean, they should have quit. Yeah, I mean, they should have. All these dudes are gone. Everybody's hurt. They lost 5 in a row, and they came back to life. Like
that's a good point.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that should have been the end of the season right there. I thought it was at one point.
I know. I was like, yeah, it's a wrap, bro.
Yeah, like they aren't coming back from this. Like this is it. Like you start to think that, and then here they are. So I mean, I think they've done a remarkable job just even keeping the team together, let alone winning games. I mean, it's just
the in-season coaching has been. I'll say if there's criticism to be had, is the personnel that they went in with
team construction. Absolutely.
Yeah, with the team construction. I think if you can criticize that all day, and I'm pretty sure when they do their rehab or reflection, as we call it in my engineering world, criticize all day. What the hell were you thinking? Maybe with this wide receiver group out, with this mic thing going on you. All right, there's criticize that all day because it's fair, right? But to say why you're not running a certain play with this offensive line, it's just like it's just. I think it's just a little bit of. I don't want to say ignorance because that's a negative connotation on the word, but I just think if you open up a little bit and look at the bigger picture, you would it kind of make a little bit more sense. So, but look. I said it during the post game pod that we recorded after the game. I like this team, right? I like this team because it's I think when you talk about like the culture building and stuff like that, and like this is kind of what you look at, right? Like I like the fact. Now listen, I don't like watching offense, right? I'm not crazy, right? I like my time. But I like this team. I like the personality of the team. I like the offense. I love the defense is my favorite thing to watch. This has been my favorite season watching Saints defense probably, I don't know, in a while. And so, it's just fun watching these dudes not give up and really think that they're like one of the best teams in the NFL. I think that's entertaining. And they get a chance to show it again this week in Atlanta with a chance to get to the playoffs. So if they win here, San Francisco loses to the Rams, the Saints are in the playoffs, and they're probably going to end up playing one of these 4 teams that we spoke about. No, definitely not Green Bay. Oh, go ahead.
Rams is the only path.
Oh, that's right. They will be paying. Yeah, that's right.
And make it the Rams are the only. It's the only
absolutely way. Right. Yeah. So Cesar Ruiz, man, look, I know you've been healthy all year. You might just. That old number 99 guy, man. Just whatever you got to do, man. Someone make sure Aaron Donald doesn't have his mask on when he goes out or something, because that's a bad matchup, bro. So, but we'll see how it goes. First, you got to get past the Falcons, and you got to get the Rams. So you're rooting for the Rams to win, and then maybe if they do win the next week, you'll be rooting for them to lose. So that's kind of the playoffs. So,
yeah, I mean, the most likely path is Rams, Tampa, Green Bay.
Well, I think it's
seating and everything.
Yeah, looking at the seating, I got it. I got the ESPN one up. I had it up and I closed the tab. But yeah, maybe we'll write an article about it or tweet about it or something. But I'll say this: I don't think that. I mean, I don't know if miracles happen. I don't think that's really possible in some ways. But I could see them beating the Rams in Tampa Bay. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be.
So it go Rams then to Green Bay, I believe. Yeah, that's how it would go, and then so it'd probably be Rams, Green Bay, and then Tampa. I don't know.
I don't think Who would Tampa be playing? I can see Tampa. I watched Tampa this past week. Bro, they look poodoo. Like they not. I think Tampa. I think
They
Tampa
get
can easily lose.
Dallas or Arizona.
Man, there's no really like dominant teams in the NFC. Really, like Packers are the only team where you say like, all right, this maybe a little hopeless, right? Because Aaron Rodgers is just that week 1 stuff. I just don't see any scenario where that happens again. But just these other teams, man, when you look at them, it's just kind of like, listen, I'm pretty sure they're looking at the Saints and saying, whatever. But Arizona, San Francisco, Philly. Philly gives us, I don't know, they can't stop Philly from running the ball. But I don't know, it just feels like this thing is wide the heck open this year in the NFC. So, but I don't know. It's like I could see them, like when you look at the list, San Francisco, I could see them beating San Fran, but they wouldn't play them because they would get in, or San Fran. I could see them beating Philly. Arizona, that would be a tough game just because, they got like offensive weapons all over, but you got a good defense. Dallas, you play Dallas, Coast, Tampa, you could beat Tampa. The Rams, I could see them beating the Rams. I could see them getting blown out by any one of these teams too. So
it's just kind of where it's at. Yeah.
It's just kind of where it is at this point. But, we'll see. Look, I want to see it. I want them to make the playoffs. I know there's some people I've seen, I've been following the timeline a little bit more lately, and there's a lot of people that just don't want them in the playoffs. I don't understand it. When I watch, especially when I'm watching the game, I can't root as a person that roots for the team. I have a problem rooting for them to lose, right? And so them not wanting them to not make the playoffs, that's exactly what that means. So, I'm enjoying it, and hopefully they get in and they beat the Falcons, and I'm here for a little chaos. So Rams, I'm pretty sure that's not their favorite matchup, but we'll see what happens.
The thing that's scary about the playoffs is that teams typically figure things out about other teams in the playoffs, and those things tend to get exposed a little bit, and their defense cannot afford to have anything exposed whatsoever. Like, even if someone figures them out a little bit, that's a wrap, because offensively there probably isn't going to be the output to overcome it. They would have to get Ramczyk back. They would have to get Armstead back. That's really about all you can do offensively as far as getting them back. But I think that would help a lot. But you have to get those guys back, get your running game going a little bit, and that's the only possible way of winning games in the playoffs.
Yeah, get the Pope to tweet out something. You need all the Catholics, and you need pretty much like all hands on board. You need a little luck, a little leprechaun, 4-leaf clover. You need everything, man, to win one game. But look, I'm here for it, man. I'm just enjoying this. It's entertaining, and we'll see what happens. So, hey, listen, guys. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. Go to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Just go there, right? Just go there, sign up. If you don't like it, send me a DM, and we'll try to work through it. But I promise you won't even be needing to send me a DM because you're going to like it. Go there and support us. We really appreciate it, because this is how we eat. That little beautiful dog that was barking a little bit a while ago, how do you think she get dog food? Right, that's why we're here. So I ain't too proud to bear, man. Old TLC song. So to the people that all support us, we appreciate you guys a lot, man, because we couldn't do it without you guys. To our sponsors, Daniel Sant, appreciate you. Thanks for sponsoring us. You guys check them out, Sant CPA. Also, Firehouse Subs on veterans. Just giving back to the community. That should be enough, right? After give back to the community, New Orleans is that type of city, so that tells you enough about them just by saying that. So, game Sunday, man. So we'll be back for the post game. So if you guys want to hear that, just sign up, and you guys be safe. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Hopefully not for the last pod while the Saints are in this thing. We out.